Hello there, good afternoon. This is Hot Rod Bob, and you've got gas, the great American auto scene, coming to you live and direct, or well, maybe recorded depending on when you're watching this. But we're talking about car stuff, which we always do on gas, the great American auto scene. Since 1990, your source for what's hot, what's not, what could be, and maybe sometimes what should be, with a little humor thrown inside. Well, today I'm going to talk about the resurgence of the LENO Law. Now, that's a nickname given to a regulation that we're trying to pass here in the state of California that will be a 35-year rolling exemption to smog checks. And the basic reason is the cars that are 35 years and older, A, they're not driven all that much. B, they're pretty much maintained better than a daily driver in most cases, let's say. Many cases. All right, some cases. Well, they really are maintained better. But the other situation is parts are not necessarily available for these cars. And what the state of California is requesting or requiring of those vehicles now is crush them. So you lose your vehicle. But what the 35-year exemption does is for collector vehicles. And that allows you to keep your vehicle without having to go through these annual smog checks and run into the hassle. Now, that doesn't give you carte blanche to change your vehicle. However, it eliminates the requirement of going through a smog check that may create a situation where your car disappears. Well, that's what it's trying to do. Now, it was given the nickname of the Leno Law because Jay Leno, a car collector and car enthusiast, came in support of the original Leno Law, or the original law that was going to try and get this rolling exemption through. But it ran into some stumbling blocks. One of the things that the state was requiring is that you had to have antique plates. Well, that eliminated the ability for you to have personalized plates, which the state of California would make revenue on. That was one issue. Another issue was it had to have collector car insurance. Now, a lot of people I know that have these cars, they don't have a garage to park them in. So they may keep them in their driveway, keep them covered, or what have you. And collector car insurance will not cover a car that is not garaged. Check it out, whether it's Haggerty, Grundy, or whoever else you have for collector car insurance. One of the requirements is garaging. Now, the other thing, some of those collector car policies have a limit of mileage, which the state was in favor of for this ability to avoid smog checks. And, frankly, if I've got a car that's 35 years and older and it's a collector vehicle, it's not my daily driver, I may not have a problem having a 3,500 mile or 30,000 mile or 30, not 30,000 miles, but 3,000 mile annual limit on driving. Well, unless I go on a long distance cruise. Like, well, for example, this coming summer, I'm going to be going up to Reno, Nevada for Hot August Nights. Now, that's not that many miles. Well, all right, it's a 8-hour drive, 60 miles an hour average. That's 600 miles each way, there and back. And then there's the cruising during the shows and so forth. And, well, that could be, almost 2,000 miles when all is said and done. If I have a 3,000 mile limit, gosh, I'm not going to be able to drive it much the rest of the year. But I get a little off topic here. Anyway, so the Leno Law is getting reintroduced, or what we call the Leno Law. It's actually SB 1392. And they're trying to get this through. It was started in 2004, or 24, but it failed because of, our state government found ways to make it difficult. And then the environmentalists got involved. And when they get involved, they are not car people. So they come up with different things and different requirements and different confusing things and find ways to stall or stop these things. After all, they don't like collector cars. They don't like old cars. And if they don't like them, you can't have them. Well, that's the theory anyway. So by trying to make you get it smog checked every year, it deters people from having them, they think. Well, SEMA, the Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association, or whatever they're calling themselves these days, is in favor of the new law. Bill 1392 is being reintroduced. It's a Senate bill, and it's going to reinstitute the 35-year exemption. Now, that 35-year exemption was lifted during the days when Arnold Schwarzenegger, old Arnie, was the governor of the state of California. And he eliminated that rolling exemption that existed prior to him. Yes, it did. We already had it. There were no limitations other than 35 years, done. You don't have to go through smog checks. Now, it's kind of difficult when you do the smog check these days because, A, if you've got a 35-year-old vehicle, they don't always know what to check. Now, there are basic things they're going to check. They're going to go into their book. They're going to put a probe up the tailpipe to see what the emissions levels are. They're going to check the engine to make sure all of the emission systems are on the vehicle. Now, on current vehicles, new vehicles, fuel-injected vehicles, computer-controlled, they plug in, they check, the sensors say, yeah, everything's working. They don't even put a tailpipe sensor in there, and you're done. You're out of there. And I see that on some of the cars I've got that are newer, computer controlled. Could I get my hot rod through a smog check? Well, I'm sure it would pass, but they wouldn't know what to look for. That's right. My car's way older than 35 years, but that's just another thing. Hi, Chris Costanza. How you doing today? And Scott Kehoe. All right, my drag racing family is back. Glad to see you guys. So anyway, the LENO law is coming back. The economic and the cultural arguments to emphasize California's automotive market. After all, this is the hotbed of hot rodding, and it always has been. It was credited with starting it pretty much, although it was a national situation. It was probably the strongest here in California, and the majority of the manufacturers of the performance parts were based here. Edelbrock, Offie, most of them were right here in Southern California. That has changed with corporate ownerships and movements, but there's still a lot here. Now, the loophole for modified cars, that's still going to be there, and we'll see how that goes. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. SB 1392. If you're here in California, tell your representative, your state representatives, you are in support of Bill 1392, and that'll bring that 35-year rolling exemption back into force, and your collector cars will no longer have to go through that annual smog check. And hopefully the emission gurus or the people that do not like cars will not have as much of a voice in this situation as they did the last time. Well, I'm Hot Rod Bob. It's Friday. Getting ready for a great weekend. Got a bunch of car things planned. How about you? Let me know what you're doing. Keep us here. Like, share, and follow me if you would. And tell your friends as well. I'm Hot Rod Bob, and you've got GAAS, the great American auto scene, here on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you watch streaming videos. You have a great day and a great weekend. Take care now.